When the doctor says nothing is wrong, that is probably one of the most isolating moments in this whole journey. A doctor is looking at your results and is telling you that everything is fine. Everything comes back normal. And by the time you got to the point where you seek medical help, something is already broken really, really hard inside of you. Your body said no more from one day to another. Your life stopped. Nothing is the way it used to be before. And you are looking for answers. You're looking for help. And getting this type of response for a body that feels like it's falling apart from the inside, and then being told that nothing is wrong, that gap is creating its own suffering. And it's making this whole experience worse. So, at first we seek out help from the medical system, and every test coming back normal is actually the problem. And there is a reason for it. And I want to tell you that doctors are not bad in any way. They are very skilled and they care about you. But the system that we're talking about, the medical system, especially in the Western part of the world, has actually been built for one specific purpose. And that purpose is to find a disease or put you in a specific category depending on the symptoms that you are describing. And there's nothing wrong about that system. That system is very good in a lot of areas, but that system has got its limitations. And it's not really a holistic approach. It's a symptom-based approach. So if you reach out for help and you have a specific set of symptoms, you will be put in a specific category. And if you are facing one of these conditions, quote unquote, chronic conditions, you're certainly not imagining any of this. These conditions actually have downstream side effects, and they actually cause physiological changes in your body that are medically measurable. There are changes in your HPA axis. There are measurable changes in how your body is producing ATP, which we need for energy. There are measurable changes in your immune system activity. Your immune system is actually weaker, so you are more prone to getting ill. Viruses that may have been dormant for a while are now becoming active. This is just to name a few. The list goes on and on. So none of this is really imagined. They are real conditions with real changes. But, none of this is actually addressing the root cause. There is a root cause, and the root cause is actually a dysregulated nervous system as a result of prolonged stress, as a result of running on sympathetic overdrive for a very long time. And that in turn is a result of coping strategies and personality adaptations that are rooted in mostly childhood trauma. And if any of this content resonates with you and you want to take it a step further, please visit my website at nervoussystemrevolution.com. You can get the free chapters, including the prologue, as a PDF download for free. You can get the book, which is available for purchase, or subscribe to my self-paced program, which is now online as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. You're coming back with the results being normal, but obviously you continue the search. So we get obsessed by our symptoms, we get obsessed by analyzing what's going wrong with us, and that is actually making this experience worse. Our body is already in hypervigilance, it's already in full threat mode, and we just keep adding to it. Our body feels even more unsafe than it was feeling before because we continue the research. So obviously we continue seeking medical help from experts, and eventually you may up getting a label, and that label isn't really wrong, it's just too small. So at first the response is nothing is coming back, and then eventually you may find someone who will assign a label to you of one of those chronic conditions. And unfortunately the outlook isn't great. You will be told that there is no cure for it. You will discover there is plenty of other people out there with similar conditions, and you will discover that some of those people are actually chronically ill and are not recovering for years and years. You will also discover that there is other people recovering, but maybe you will not be able to identify yourself fully in those symptoms. That was certainly the case for myself. The The closest label that I got was chronic fatigue syndrome, but I was not able to identify myself with it. I was not able to see myself in all of these symptoms when I was listening to other people talking about it, when I was listening to recovery stories. I couldn't really identify myself with it. So, for me, that's just a label. It's a label for a cluster of symptoms that is trying to describe your surface level symptoms, but it is not describing the root cause. And if you feel like I felt in my case, and it doesn't resonate with you and you cannot identify yourself with it, that instinct is probably correct. It probably means that you are already sensing underneath that something is not right, and that this is just describing surface level symptoms. It's not describing the root cause. So if we take it a step further, there's actually a few things that we have in common. And I want to call it wasn't actually one thing, it's two things. So if the label isn't the cause, what is it? I mean, we just discussed it. It's a dysregulated nervous system. But how do we actually get there? And the first thing that we have in common is really a stretch of prolonged stress. And it's often invisible to us, running for months, probably years. And this is you running on sympathetic overdrive for quite a long time. And that is, as I've already alluded to, because of personality adaptations and coping strategies that you had developed that keep you functioning. And actually, you're not realizing that you are doing this. The second thing is a trigger. That is something that we all have in common who are facing this experience. For some of us, it's a virus that you never recover from. For others, it is overtraining. It can be a breakup from a relationship or any sort of stressful event in your life. And that trigger will actually flip the system. And what will end up happening is that you will be flooded with unresolved material, and you will be flipping back and forth between sympathetic overdrive and dorsal vagal shutdown, as it is defined in the polyvagal theory, which is a concept that we will also be looking at in future videos. So, people fixate on this trigger because it's the only thing that is visible to you. I was fine until XY happened. I was fine until that infection. But that trigger is actually not the cause. It is just what tipped the system that was already overloaded for years. So it's a conjunction of these two things happening at the same time that will then actually flip you into this condition. So your system was protecting you for years. It was adapting, coping, until at one point it was impossible to keep up the defenses. Therefore, in my definition, the crash is not really a diagnosis. It is a biological event because you were unable to continue living the life that you have been living before, and you reach a certain threshold. And this is not really a mystery. It's actually a pattern, right? And the feeling of being alone with this experience and believing that no one is actually understanding what is happening to you is actually quite normal. Your symptoms may be unique. They will be unique, shaped by your history, shaped by your body, shaped by your unresolved trauma, by your wiring. That is absolutely yours. And it will not be the same for another person. But at the same time, what is actually shared is that we all had a system that was holding too much inside of it for too long, and it reached the limit of its capacity. So this is not a mystery. It's a pattern that we are sharing. It's a human pattern in the system that was first built for survival and kept functioning. You kept coping, and eventually you just hit a wall. So the loneliness that you are feeling, and it's not only the loneliness that your friends, your family, the people closest to you are not getting what's happening to you. It's also the loneliness of experts not getting you either. Doctors are not understanding what is happening with you because they are just looking at surface level symptoms. And unfortunately, all of this material is not really mainstream material. So Telling you all of this is certainly not providing a cure instantly, but it gives you some orientation and certainly some hope. So if any of this material resonated with you, I'd love to hear further below in the comments. And if you want to see future content coming, please subscribe to my channel. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.